back to A9 News Kids. This week I'm going to be talking about the Football World Cup 2022 updates, why some people are boycotting the Qatar 2022 World Cup, the presidential election in USA and Kanye West, as well as Elon Musk and the Twitter changes. In the culture segment, I'm going to be talking about Surrealism, and in the Hungry for History segment, you're going to learn all about Thanksgiving. This week for the Persona segment, we are talking about Salvador Dali. For the other headlines, we have the Russia-Ukraine war and everything that's going on there, the Greek recreational park and the futuristic park that's going to come next year, and the China protests that are happening because of the COVID-19 rules. I really hope you enjoy. This week on A9 News Kids Peer to Career segment, we are interviewing Carolyn Desvaux, who is an amazing person. She's a lawyer, and I really hope you enjoy her career and journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment below because we are nearly at 700 subscribers, and it's really helping us to get to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you. The Football World Cup 2022 started on 20th November in Qatar. This is the first round of eliminations, and out of 32 teams, 16 will make it. There have been some very interesting matches this week. For example, Saudi Arabia had its defining moment when it defeated Argentina, which is one of the best teams, or at least is seen as one of the best teams. They won 2-1, and in that same match, Argentina lost 3 goals to offside. Another big match was when Japan won against Germany, 2-1 as well. Germany was the winner of the 2014 World Cup, so it was pretty shocking that Japan beat them. This year, many people have gone to Qatar to watch, and many people are really excited to see who's going to win. Some other big matches were Spain versus Costa Rica, Spain winning 7-0, and another one was England versus Iran, with England winning 6-2. The person who scored the most goals was Ener Valencia, who is the captain of the Ecuador team. A lot of people have decided to boycott the World Cup 2022 in Qatar because of many reasons. First of all, around 6,000 people were killed during the process of building all the stadiums and getting the World Cup ready in Qatar. Another reason is that Qatar has many strict laws and regulations that other countries don't approve of. And the climate impact for all of this is a lot because building 8 stadiums with AC really damages the environment. Some people even say that Qatar bribed FIFA in order to be the host country, so the selection was corrupt. But the damage is already done, and it would be good for the FIFA culture and the football culture to be spread, because now the World Cup is taking place and there's nothing we can do to change all the bad things that happened before. Lots of people have decided that they're going to be running for the 2024 presidential elections. A famous rapper, Kanye West, also announced that he's going to be running for the 2024 presidential elections in the USA. He also ran for 2020 elections, but his campaign was a fail because he only managed to get 70,000 votes out of 160 million. This year, he just announced it, and he said that he asked Donald Trump to be his running mate, but Donald Trump refused and was very disturbed by it. He's been getting a lot of criticism because of many things that he has done, such as wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt during a big event, as well as many anti-Semitic comments during interviews. Elon Musk has announced that he is ready to try his new verification system. This time it will include colors and hopefully it will work. The last verification system was the blue tick on Twitter. He had agreed to have anyone have the blue tick on Twitter as long as they pay $8 a month, even if they had a spam or a fake account on Twitter. But now, he realizes that this does not work because many people started creating fake accounts and having the blue ticks to make them seem real. Now he says that there will be gold ticks for companies and businesses, gray ticks for government entities, and blue ticks for individuals. But the blue ticks will be for anyone. It doesn't matter if they're celebrities or not. He hasn't announced if he's going to keep the same price, $8 a month, or if he'll change it. But he has announced that all the previous ones with blue ticks will be manually checked. This could take a long time because Twitter has a short staff right now, as Elon Musk had to fire many people and many others left too. As many people are leaving and being fired from companies like Twitter and from companies like Facebook, TikTok is actually hiring many more people. In fact, they are hiring 1,000 new engineers as their company goes bigger. Hi everybody, this week for the Hungry for History segment, I'm going to be talking about Thanksgiving. I really hope you enjoy. Thanksgiving is a celebration celebrated every year on the fourth Thursday of every November. It's celebrated and marked by family traditions, feasts, and football games, and it's celebrated in USA, Canada, and some other countries. It actually started a long time ago. The tradition started in 1621. In 1620, the Pilgrims moved to America by boat, and 1 year later, an indigenous group called the Wampanoag also moved there, and they taught the Pilgrims how to cultivate better crops. Once the harvest was really good that same year, in 1621, they decided to have a celebration together, and they had a 3-day feast. Sarah Josepha Hale, an editor of a popular women's magazine during the 1800s, actually led the effort for Thanksgiving to become a national holiday, and in 1863, it finally became a national holiday when President Abraham Lincoln of USA announced that. The day after Thanksgiving is known as Black Friday, and Black Friday is the biggest shopping day in the world. Hi everybody, this week for the culture segment, I'm going to be telling you all about Surrealism. I hope you enjoy. Surrealism means above realism. Surrealism was an artistic movement that happened in Europe after World War I. Surrealism depicts real life experiences but that are twisted and can't possibly be real. Surrealism movement actually impacted art, film, music, and many more things. Surrealism is often the mixture between normal-looking objects and completely weird-looking objects that are out of place. The Persistence of Memory is a painting by Salvador Dali and is one of the most recognizable artworks of Surrealism. Salvador Dali was a famous artist and he grew up in Spain. He had always been interested in art from a very young age, and at the age of 17, he moved to Madrid in Spain to study at the Academy of Fine Arts. Although he was expelled just before his graduation for causing a lot of trouble with the teachers, and not long after that, he was imprisoned for supposedly being opposed to the Spanish dictatorship. After that, he was continuing to be very interested in art and he kept experimenting until he found out that he enjoyed surrealism and was good at it. So he decided to do more paintings depicting the surrealist movement, and he began to get more and more famous. Soon, his artworks even reached international fame, and he is now one of the most well-known artists of the surrealist movement in art. During the World War II and the Spanish Civil War, he also painted pictures depicting the horrors of the war in surrealist art. Hello, this week for the Spiritual Career segment, we are interviewing Carolyn Desvaux, who's an amazing person. She's a lawyer in Mauritius, and I hope you enjoy her career and journey, and I hope you learn something new.
Okay, so my name is Carolyn Desvaux. I'm a barrister at law by profession, so that's what I do for work. I'm also a mother of 2 children, and one of my pastimes is doing crafts, and I have many other artistic activities that I like to pursue as well.
Wow, thank you so much. Can you tell me more about your job?
So my job, I said to you that I'm a barrister at law. That means that I go to court. So I've qualified in the UK, and that means that I can now practice in Mauritius. I go to court and do cases, but I'm also a legal consultant. So I have clients that come to me when they need advice. The clients can be companies. The majority of my clients are actually small and medium enterprises that need legal advice on a regular basis. So they would come to me and ask me to guide them, whether in their business activity or sometimes they're negotiating a contract and they need an external legal person to look at it. Sometimes it can also be individuals that have, problems that they just need somebody's advice upon, and sometimes the problems can end up in court or sometimes they don't. I also work quite a lot with NGOs. So NGOs also have, they do very important work, and often they need someone with a legal background that can actually guide them in their everyday operations and the things that they want to achieve. So it's not only in the life of the association itself, but in the project that they want to bring to fruition.
Wow, thank you. That's really nice. Yeah, you do a lot of interesting things.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's really nice to hear about that. And did you always dream of becoming a lawyer, or did it just stumble upon you? Could you tell us a bit more about your journey?
Yeah, well, my journey, as a child, I grew up, my parents are actually in the education sector. Well, they're both retired now. So I didn't really have lawyers in my entourage. But funnily enough, I did see a series when I was about your age where, there was a famous lawyer the series doesn't exist anymore, but his name was Perry Mason, and I thought he was pretty awesome. And that kind of piqued my interest about law in general, because I hadn't been exposed to that world at all. And then growing up at college, I actually studied literature, which was another one of my great passions. And I thought I was going to be destined to a career, relating to the written word, and so there was a lot of things when I finished my A-levels. There was plenty of things that I thought were interesting. And then I applied to several universities, some in the UK, some in Australia, some in France. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do, but law was one of them. It was one of the topics that I wanted to study. And then I think fate played a little bit in there, because my preferred university actually offered me a small bursary to go and study law. So that's how, the dice was cast, and I ended up studying law. And the studies themselves, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, because, there's a lot of hard work and there's a lot of topics that you don't find particularly interesting, but that are mandatory. So I went through the studies, which was 3 years of just learning about law and the history of it, and not really the application of it, because there was a lot of theory at that stage. But it's later in my studies that I actually learned the skills that would be required of me when I start practicing law.
Wow, that's really nice.
And what do you enjoy the most about what you do? You seem really passionate about what you do, so what do you enjoy the most about it?
What I enjoyed the most about it, I actually always found the gymnastics of it to be very interesting, taking a factual situation and then taking the core rules and texts and, the history of it, and trying to pair the situation together to help your client, hopefully, to get to a desired result. In recent years, I've sort of shifted my perspective around law and started thinking of it as a service, because, essentially what I do is helping people get to where it is that they want to go, whether it is trying to resolve a dispute that exists between them and someone else, whether it is to materialize a dream that they've had. It can be a company that they want to set up, and they have all these dreams of business that they're going to be doing in the future. So what I enjoy really is, that journey between, when the person first comes to see you and I ask them, what is it that you want? What would be your ideal result? And then working with them either, towards that ideal result. Obviously we don't always get to the ideal result, but we have to measure a lot of things together. And I think what I enjoy is really that path with them, walking with them and saying, okay, we've reached this junction. I think this is what we should do. What do you think? How do you feel? And then using law as a tool to, bring closure on that front. So it's as much the law itself as the contact with the people who need it. So that's really how I, the highlight for me.
Wow, that's really nice. And then could you tell us about how COVID affected what you do?
COVID affected what I do because I was in a different professional setup at the time that COVID arrived. And there was, it sort of, like everyone else, the lockdown and everything that came with it was a bit of a shock to the system. It was a shock to the system because it changed from one day to the next our habits and our certainties. And a lot of things, there was an effervescence around the law because all these laws were passed and there was a lot of work and a lot of things that, we were used to doing that had to be immediately changed from one day to the other, and had to help clients navigate these new laws that were coming in and new problems that were coming in and how we apply these. I don't know if you would be aware of that, but there was a lot of regulations that were being passed about whether you're allowed to move, whether you're allowed to go to the supermarket, whether you're allowed to have contact with so-and-so. There was a lot of like penalties and things like that, curfews, things that people had never heard about. So that was a shock to the system in terms of proving yourself to be very reactive. You can't afford to say, oh, I'll come back to you in a week's time. We had to be, on the ball and, and give solutions rather immediately, and be content with the notion of done is better than perfect, which was a bit difficult for me, I admit. But also, I think it made me rethink how I want to work. It was a bit of a shock to the system, not only in terms of my practice, but I think rethinking the person that you want to be and how you want the place that you want your work to take in your life. So for me, it sort of meant realizing that I want a better work-life balance, that I want to use my skills to do what I consider to be good, to use my skills to touch people who perhaps are somewhat marginalized and are not able to understand what is going on, and to do it in a way and in a language that is achievable and that is sort of broken down to the everyday layman's language. So, I mean, I have to say, COVID came with its load of problems, but it also came with quite a few blessings as far as I'm concerned.
Wow, that's really nice. Yeah, I think that that really makes sense. It was a time of uncertainty for everyone.
Yeah, but we've heard a lot that despite that, a lot of great things have come out of it.
Yeah, I think, it was undeniably very difficult. And when you're weathering the storm, you always think, why is this happening? But then on the other side of it, you look back and you see the transformation. And I see the transformation not just in the professional that I am, but also in the person that I am.
Wow, that's really amazing.
And what is your advice to kids?
With regards to work or in general?
In general.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in general, I would say that my advice would be really to try to determine what is it that you are inherently good at, or things that you find to be interesting, so that one day you can use whatever passion or skill that you have within yourself and bring this towards a professional endeavor that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. When I was young, there was a lot of injunctions about what kind of work we should do and what we should be and what what is available. So there was a bit of a scarcity mindset, and I think this is changing. So more and more people, I see a lot of people in my generation that are going back to their first loves, and saying, oh, I used to love painting when I was a child, and they decide to make a career out of that. Or other people who say, I was really good with plants. I really like nature. I want to go back to biology. And I think my advice would be, try to ask yourself, what is it that you've got? What are your skill sets? And work on that skill set, not to fit in a mold that isn't really cut out for you. This is what I encourage my own kids to be. I ask them, what is it that you really like? And what is the unsung song within you that one day is going to be your place in the world, your profession in the world, like you girls are doing. You like journalism and you're making it work for you somehow. So that's brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today. It's been really nice talking to you.
Yes, I really enjoyed it too. I wish you, all the very best, and I'll be following, with a lot of interest what you girls are up to, and how far you fare. I hope that, we'll maintain contact after this. And thank you for approaching me.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. Have a wonderful day and
And
week
you.
ahead.
And you.
Thank you so much. We'll
Bye.
keep in touch. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
After an apartment block in China caught on fire and killed 10 people, some protests started around that same area concerning the zero COVID policy in China. The zero COVID policy in China has been going on for more than a year, and in places like Beijing and other cities, people are getting frustrated and mad because it doesn't look like it's going to end soon. For some time, it seemed like it was going to end, but now there have been a number of cases and a new record, meaning that the restrictions and everything will just get worse. Despite all of this, China's vaccination level is quite low, and their rate is pretty low compared to other huge countries. Many people are getting really mad, and even in Urumqi, where the fire started, the government authorities have started denying claims that people from the apartment block could not escape because of the COVID-19 rules and lockdowns. Hopefully it's going to end soon, and I think more people will start protesting now, even though Chinese protests are rare. Ellinikon International Airport in Greece was the previous international airport in Greece. It was decommissioned in 2001 and it has been abandoned ever since. Now, Greece is going to turn it into a new recreational park called the Ellinikon Metropolitan Park. The buildings and the renovation is going to start early next year, meaning 2023. There's a huge new plan for this park, and it's going to consist of a 600-acre park with playgrounds, gardens, a cultural center, and a lake. Some of its ancient parts will also be formed into new and better places, but its history will be preserved. It's going to be really exciting for the Athenians, and even a lot of plants will be grown there. 3 million plants will be grown, and all of them will be native to Greece, from 86 different species of Greek plants. It looks like Vladimir Putin's plan to take over Ukraine has gone wrong. His invasion was only supposed to last a couple of days, but now it's been 8 months and it doesn't look like it's going to end soon. At least not till 1 year is over, on February 24th, 2023. Russia has been facing a lot of pressure to show some kind of victory, as Ukraine has been taking back some of the territories recently, including some that were previously occupied by Russia before the invasion. Now, Vladimir Putin might declare another partial mobilization. Last month, he had his partial mobilization, and he had insisted at the beginning that this was something he would never do. But now, since many soldiers from both sides have been lost, it seems like he might do that. Most people predict that around 100,000 people on both sides have been killed already. And now people are starting to get desperate. It looks like it's going to be one of the worst winters in Ukraine. Probably the worst since World War II.